weren't like them. They used the online chat groups to come together to create groups of like-minded people that are prepared to commit violent acts.
A warning from the family of 89-year-old Jim, who tragically died when skin creams he'd been using accidentally caught fire.
What has happened has been very dramatic. My granddad at the time was planning his 90th birthday party. His funeral day were his 90th birthday.
Doing summit incredible. The Leeds Uni professor battling terminal cancer and her final preparations to take on Mount Everest.
Excuse me, can we have our ball back, please?
And how's that for a guest appearance? Find out what happened when Joe Root turned up for this kids' cricket match.
First tonight, he idolised the Nazis, stockpiled hundreds of weapons and even called himself the Führer. But Brogan Stewart will now spend many years behind bars after his planned terror attack in Leeds was thwarted.
25-year-old Brogan, who's from Tingley, and two other far-right extremists had amassed armour, rations and weapons, including a working 3D printed gun. And they were plotting to attack an Islamic centre in the city.
Unbeknown to them, their group had been infiltrated by a counter-terror police officer who stepped in before they could put their murderous plans into action. Adam Fowler has our top story.
He set up a group modelled on the SS and called himself the Führer. From his bedroom in Tingley in Leeds, its walls adorned with a Nazi flag, Brogan Stewart believed a race war was inevitable. Recruiting two more men online, between them they collected more than 200 weapons, and their plans targeted synagogues and mosques. For a potential attack, they focused on the Al Amin Islamic Education Centre in Leeds. Stewart recorded a voice note with his getaway plans.
Where that roundabout is, we can stop there, we can uncover the plates, we can get rid of masks, and then we can drive off.
Brogan Stewart, Marco Pizzetto and Christopher Ringrose amassed a vast cache of weapons. Each of them had a crossbow. Stewart also had swords, masks and riot gear. Pizzetto acquired an illegal stun gun and Ringrose was convicted of manufacturing a printed 3D firearm. Officers tested it to see if it worked. It did.
They were brought together through an extreme racial prejudice and a hatred of people that weren't like them. And this rhetoric amplified in their online chat. This hatred became, how can we attack people? So when we saw that amplification, when we realised that this is potentially got real-world consequences, that's when we acted and arrested.
MP Fabian Hamilton, whose Leeds constituency includes the Islamic Centre, said he was deeply concerned by the danger the men had posed.
That all the problems that the UK and its citizens face can be resolved by murder and terror against these minority communities. That is just appalling. And we need to have a very clear message that we will not stand this and we will come down very hard on people who take this kind of view.
Following the riots in August, a YouGov poll found that almost half of Britons believe right-wing extremists are a major threat.
Things that were once considered outside of the norm or quite extreme, they've become integrated into kind of mainstream right-wing conservative parties across Europe and in America.
Over the last 20 years, we've seen the extreme right wing grow, and it's grown significantly in the online space. They use the online chat groups to come together to promote their ideologies and to create groups of like-minded people that are prepared to commit violent acts.
This time those preparations were thwarted, an act of terror prevented. But while such ideologies continue to thrive online, the threat posed by men like these remains ever present. Adam Fowler, ITV News.
And we will update you when those men are sentenced. Well, next to the tragic story of a grandad from South Yorkshire who died after what's thought to have been a build-up of emollient creams on his clothes, which caught fire by a gas heater.
Jim Rownsley was 89 and used the creams to treat dry skin on his legs. But while they're hugely effective to help skin conditions, they're also flammable, with around 60 fire deaths linked to emollient contaminated fabrics since 2010. Now, his granddaughter, Sherry Lee, is warning others of the dangers to help prevent any further deaths. She has been speaking to our reporter, Amelia Beckett.
It was just such a kind man, like he had the time of day for anyone, and that's not just me saying it as a family member. The amount of people that learnt about his death, like shop owners, people that he just saw like on the street, people he lived like next door to, just all over, a nice rounded man.
Looking through pictures of her granddad Jim fills Sherry Lee with pride. He lived a full and happy life, first in the army, then as a policeman, before looking after his dozens of grandchildren. But just 3 months ago, that life was tragically cut short after a devastating accident when the clothes he was wearing caught fire on a gas heater.
What has happened has been very dramatic as a whole. My granddad at the time was planning his 90th birthday party. He were weeks away from it. So he died when he was 89. His funeral day were his 90th birthday. And he was just so stuck in his routine of, oh, it'll never happen to me. And unfortunately that day it was him. And it's us as the family members and his close friends and whatnot that have had to deal with the impact of it all.
Investigations into the cause of the fire found Jim had been using emollient creams to treat dry skin and eczema on his legs. While highly effective, if built up over time, they can become a fire hazard.
So he had smothered himself daily, in his legs, put his clothes on. When he sat down for long periods of time, it soaked into his carpets, into his bedding, into his sofas. And unfortunately, when he's bent over to obviously spark the fire, it's the actual spark from the fire, not the flame, that has ignited his trousers and then engulfed him. So that's, yeah. It is hard to talk about, but I am aware the awareness needs to be there.
She's now working alongside South Yorkshire Fire and Rescue to warn people of the potential dangers of these creams and how to stay safe when using them.
I do want to be clear, we're not saying don't use emollient creams at all. Quite the opposite, they're vital for health and are essential for well-being. So we're saying to use them, just be aware there are risks around them.
Risks Sherry Lee is now urging others to be aware of to help them avoid the trauma her and her family now carry every day. Amelia Beckett, ITV News, Mexborough.
Yes, a terribly sad story, but an important warning there. Now then, you're watching Wednesday night's calendar, and still to come tonight, From Little Seeds, find out how a renowned artist is helping to change the Yorkshire landscape with the help of her own impression of the Sycamore Gap.
And 10 days, that's how long our gardens and fields have to wait for the next chance of rain. Our weather is really stuck in a rut. Find out what that means for our forecast.
But first, around 150 jobs are at risk at the Burberry factory in West Yorkshire as the company looks to cut costs and to return to a profit. The designer fashion brand is proposing to drop the night shift at its premises in Castleford, where its luxury trench coats are made. It comes ahead of a renovation of the production facility. The plans are part of a global restructuring programme, which the company says will safeguard manufacturing in the UK.
Now to a groundbreaking scheme that doctors say could save children's lives within just a couple of years of being introduced. That's if enough money can be raised to fund it. Hospitals in Leeds and Sheffield are part of a group known as the Atticus Network, aiming to work together on trials for new medication for blood cancer in children and teenagers.
It's the most common kind of cancer to affect children, but currently such a network only exists for adults, meaning that potential treatments can't be used on children because there is no way of showing just how effective they could be. Lisa Adlam's been hearing from those who say it can't come soon enough.
Arabella was sunshine. She had a smile that would light up any room. She was just full of joy.
At her school in Harrogate, there is a magical corner that will be forever Arabella. a place for her friends to remember the joyful, feisty, much-loved 7-year-old. Comfort for her family after Arabella's death just 3 months ago. Apparently coming through treatment for acute myeloid leukemia, Arabella suffered complications after a stem cell transplant.
We're still probably in shock. It was a shock to us, we thought, because we got the great news from Dr. Becky at Leeds that she had what they call 100% chimerism, which meant 100% of donor cells, so it had taken really well. And then she just deteriorated. So yeah, it's been a shock, and it's been hard, really hard.
Through their grief and pain, Arabella's family are among those campaigning to bring about the Atticus Network.
4 children every day are diagnosed with blood cancer in the UK.
Led by the charity Cure Leukemia and its patron Gary Lineker, whose son survived the disease as a baby, the network would connect 11 hospitals, including Leeds and Sheffield, to work together to trial new drugs for children with blood cancers. A development the consultant who cared for Arabella says would have a dramatic impact.
It's not an underestimate to say that actually this will improve outcomes for children if it gets launched within the first 2 or 3 years of it being launched. And when I say improve outcomes, I mean that there'll be children alive who wouldn't be alive without it.
There's 2 world-first trials ready to be run, ready to be open across the network. But to do that, we need the funding to be able to do that. And so there's great hope there, but we've also got to get that and do it properly.
It's thanks to a trial that Jude Hawkridge is healthy and thriving at his school in Rotherham. Before that, acute lymphoblastic leukemia meant months in isolation, and even a bone marrow transplant from his sister Lily wasn't a success.
It hurt for it to even walk, and I could barely walk because I was in such a state, and that was tough for me to go through, but I recovered and now I'm feeling a lot better.
Jude's living proof that they work, you know, they do save lives. We'd gone through all the treatments that were available on the NHS. They were exhausted. This was our only last chance.
The children and families who've endured so much are now determined others should have that chance through the Atticus Network. For Natalie, the hope it can offer would be a fitting tribute to a life which promised so much.
I know Arabella would want me to support this and be there and do what we can to support. And, you know, if it means that another child doesn't die in the future, then that's a fitting legacy for Arabella.
Yes, it certainly is, isn't it? Well, next tonight, it was a senseless crime which outraged the nation. I'm talking, of course, about the illegal felling of the Sycamore Gap tree on Hadrian's Wall in Northumberland. It was an act of vandalism which prompted a major police investigation and ended with these 2 men, Daniel Graham and Adam Carruthers, now facing lengthy jail sentences.
Well, now the award-winning Richmond artist Lucy Pittaway is determined to bring a positive from the situation. She's pledged to plant a new tree for every copy sold of her impression of the Sycamore Gap. And as Katie Cole's been finding out, it's already making an impact on the North Yorkshire landscape.
This new woodland trail in North Yorkshire has been made possible thanks to artist Lucy Pittaway. And this painting of Sycamore Gap, after it was felled illegally in 2023, Lucy agreed to create it, but with a promise that for every print sold, a tree would be planted.
In my mind, it's a legacy for the tree. It's a constant reminder of how important it is to us to have beautiful trees around us and to be out in nature and to be able to walk this trail and to be here and enjoy being in this lovely outside space. It's just amazing.
The trail is in the spot where 2 years ago, diseased larch trees had to be cut down. So to see new saplings planted here, including sycamore, hazel and oak, means a lot.
Oh, it's good. It's good to see it all growing and getting going. Yeah, and it's changing it all from like mainly softwoods to more hardwoods. It will look nice in years to come. 10, 15 years, they'll be getting grown up and it'll start to look a lot different.
Along the trail, there are other sculptures by local artists, and this is all free for people to enjoy.
It's really, really lovely. She thinks it's a fairy house, little fairy house, and the fairy sculptures in the trees where they live. The fact that planting trees for selling the pictures, I think that's amazing. It's the first thing I've heard of it, so yeah, it's really lovely.
I hope they'll enjoy getting out into the countryside, all the benefits that comes with that, going for a walk, enjoying the wider Swinton estate while they're here. And I'm hoping also that it'll attract other people who want to help, want to display their artwork here and engage with nature and taking in the views.
Also taking in the views was the man you may know as TV's Yorkshire vet.
I remember speaking to Lucy a year or more ago about this idea that she had, and she was very excited, and the project seemed very ambitious, and from just that idea this has now happened. So yeah, it's really exciting. Anything that's regenerative like this and encourages people to get out into nature and hear the birds sing and breathe the fresh air has got to be a good thing.
100 miles from where Sycamore Gap once stood, a new woodland trail, a lasting legacy to a tree that meant so much to so many. Katie Cole, ITV News, North Yorkshire.
Oh yeah, that's a great idea. Now then, time to remind you about a special series on ITVX, which charts the story of the Bradford City fire disaster, exploring the history of the club and the aftermath of the tragedy which took the lives of 56 supporters 40 years ago.
Part 3 looks at the response from the emergency services on the day, including the firefighters whose job was more than just tackling the flames.
When we hit Valley Parade, really, we didn't realise what we were going into.
It was total mayhem, to be honest. A lady grabbed hold of me. She's saying, if you see my son, he's got a blue anorak on. And I says, right. It wasn't until the fire was put out, then we did a sweeping search of the stand, trying to find bodies under all the rubble and that.
Just formed up and we're just checking then to see if we could find any bodies, really.
Well, to find that series, which is an excellent series, go to the ITVX app on your smart TV, phone or online. Click on categories, then news, and then scroll all the way down. Along with our latest programmes, you can catch up with exclusive content and some of our very best stories. It's all available on ITVX on demand.
Yes, well worth a watch. Now next to what's been a welcome boost for Yorkshire's oat farmers, the fact that more and more of us are opting to pour plant-based milk into our morning coffee.
Yes, according to a new survey, 1 in 4 drinks sold in Britain's coffee chains now use oat milk. So are the days of humble cow's milk numbered? Well, Nick Smith has been finding out.
After a brief dip during the post-COVID cost of living crisis, plant milk sales are surging once again, in a UK market worth nearly £1 billion. And in the battle for supremacy among non-dairy alternatives, oat milk has now emerged as the runaway leader. For cereal farmers like Matthew Copley from Oswaldkirk near Helmsley, it's a bumper time for a crop which can thrive in our part of the world.
We've been growing oats for a number of years, but just the last 3 or 4 years, there's been definitely increase in demand. There's a traditional sort of market like breakfast cereals, muesli, porridge, but then more recently there's the demand for the oat drink market as well.
This trend isn't just fueled by vegans or those with lactose intolerances, making up less than 3% of the population. In fact, market researchers claim that 1 in every 4 coffees sold by major chains is now filled with plant milk.
The plan for this factory is that every year we will be producing around 58 million litres of the British oat drinks. So in the last 5 years, we've seen demand for plant-based drinks nearly double. And oat milk specifically is seeing a really big part of that growth. In the UK, on average, we're consuming 500,000 litres every single day. And that's driven by people moving to a more flexitarian lifestyle where they're consuming plant-based products alongside dairy just to have a balanced approach to their diet.
Despite a rise in plant milk popularity, dairy still sells 10 times more than plant-based milk. But with younger people driving the change, that gap may not last forever. Nick Smith, ITV News.
Well now, to a remarkable woman who's taking on the most incredible challenge just months after being diagnosed with terminal breast cancer. 20 years ago, Shauna Burke climbed Mount Everest, which in itself is an awesome achievement.
But now, after undergoing surgery and chemotherapy, the Leeds University professor is going back to the Himalayas. Fraser Maud caught up with her during her final training session at an altitude simulator in Leeds.
Well, despite the mountain backdrop, obviously I'm not actually in the Alps or the Himalayas, but I'm at the next best thing at Boxed Altitude Performance Centre. At the moment, we're at 3,590 metres, or the equivalent of. Thomas, coach here, you can explain, how does it work?
Yeah, absolutely. So what we've done is we've filtered out the oxygen molecules so that we are at altitude or at a lower oxygen environment. That's really beneficial for Shauna, is because she can start her acclimatisation before she's actually stepped foot on the mountain.
Okay, well, let's have a chat with Shauna. Shauna, we'll interrupt you training. I know you've been here 6 days a week training for this. The Everest Marathon, the hardest marathon, the highest marathon in the world. What's possessed you to do it?
For me, this is an opportunity for me to prove to myself that I can continue living a full life. Since my diagnosis, I've been in survival mode. I've been fighting for my life, undergoing 4.5 months of chemotherapy, multiple surgeries, radiotherapy, and going back to the Alps, for the Himalayas for me is a way of proving to myself that I can still thrive.
You hope to do this before. You've actually summited Everest in the past, which is an amazing feat. So you know what to expect, but obviously doing it when you know that you have this diagnosis must be a real challenge on top of the usual physical one.
Absolutely. My body has been under a tremendous amount of duress over the last 12 months. And one of the reasons for wanting to be here training at Boxed Altitude is to put my body under duress so I can test it, so I can see how it functions at low elevation. So it's giving me that confidence that my body will be able to function at high altitude, and also that mental resilience.
And given your expertise, it's almost ironic, your diagnosis, isn't it? Just explain what it is that you do for a living.
Yeah, so I'm a sport and exercise scientist, and my area of research is in the field of exercise and cancer. My research focuses predominantly on getting patients fit for whether it's surgery, whether it's chemotherapy, whatever treatment they're about to face. My research is focused on how we can do that the best way possible.
So you know what to expect. You've been to Everest before. The big question, can you do it?
I think I can, but whenever you go into the mountains, there's always a risk, and there's always variables that are outside your control, but all I'm focusing on now is what I can control, and I'm forgetting what I can't control.
Okay, Shauna, thanks ever so much for talking to us. I'll let you get back on with your training. I know that you need to crack on. She's heading off tomorrow. The marathon takes place on the 25th of May. It could take her anything up to 12 hours or so in the most punishing of conditions. She's confident. We are too. We know she can do it.
Yes, and we will have her back in the studio when she has completed it.
Yes, good luck, Shauna. Now then, finally tonight, when 9-year-old Hassan Khan sent a letter to the best batsman in the world, Joe Root, asking him for a game, he did so out of hope rather than expectation.
Yes, but the England and Yorkshire superstar was bowled over by the invitation and went to St Mary's Community Centre in Sheffield. Arif Ahmed was there.
A game of cricket these kids will remember forever.
Hassan, can I play? Yeah, sure. Is that all right? Yes, please. Come on, are you going to keep wicket?
After receiving an invite from 9-year-old Hassan, England and Yorkshire cricketer Joe Root
I'm getting sledged already.
Surprised him for a game of urban cricket.
I'm bold. Come on then, let's run.
How surprised were you when you've seen him?
So surprised because he's the best cricketer in the world. I never seen him.
Just seeing that like raw enthusiasm and enjoyment when they crack one out the middle. Oh, that's 6. Excuse me, can we have our ball back, please? A bowl someone is exactly what this is all about, and no, it's been really cool to meet these guys and see them show off their skills today.
When they heard his name mentioned, they lit up, and the fact that we're here in this place with a cricketer of his calibre is just incredible.
Now, you can probably tell they're playing on a basketball court. That's because they're part of a new initiative to show that you don't need a big field or a shiny wicket to play cricket, you can play just about anywhere.
We used to put sticks in the ground, in the grate on the driveway, and that would be our stumps, but anything really. And it's just more about getting used to hitting a ball, bowling it, some little basics to get you going, and then you can pretty much roll it out wherever you want, which I think's great.
The kids put Joe's bowling skills to the test.
Shot!
As they smashed him around the park. You hit him for a couple of sixes, didn't you? What was that like?
Excellent.
How special is it that maybe 5-10 years they could be playing cricket having had this experience with you?
Yeah, I mean, that would be amazing. I'd love to see something like that, and the amount of enjoyment you get seeing smiles on the kids' faces, as I say, brings back a lot of cool memories for me.
Hassan's dream of playing with Joe Root has now come true.
Shot! That's a brilliant shot, mate.
Having been bowled over with a game of a lifetime. Arif Ahmed, ITV News, Sheffield.
Oh, what a nice surprise for Hassan. Well, hopefully no surprises in the weather forecast. Here's Nick Miller.
Changes today. You'll have noticed a stronger, cooler breeze and more cloud around for time as well, though it brightened up through the afternoon. If it's going to be cloudy, it might as well rain, surely, but there is no rain in the forecast anytime soon. A blocking area of high pressure keeping Atlantic weather systems away. It's here at the moment, and as we fast forward to Monday, it is still so pretty similar weather will be continuing. So dry, of course. There will be a good deal of sunshine around, and the mornings could be quite cloudy, low cloud coming in from the North Sea. And as we've noticed today, we're taking a turn for the cooler, and that northeasterly breeze will continue to push into coastal areas, holding temperatures here perhaps a little bit below the average for the time of year. The best of the sunshine and warmth will certainly be further inland, but not as warm as it's been. And a bit of that low cloud will start to filter back in from the North Sea overnight. The chillier spots may end up close to freezing, although most of us don't have to worry about a frost. And your sun times, so your sunrise just after 5 o'clock, and drum roll please, your sunset now is after 9 o'clock in the evening. So into tomorrow then, and some patchy cloud around will break up more readily than today, allowing the sunshine to come through. That stiff breeze, perhaps not quite as strong along the coast, keeping us here down to around 13 degrees or so, whereas further inland a little bit above the average at 17 or 18 degrees.
Yes, well, we hope you have a very relaxing evening tonight.
I hope you do too, Lara.
Well, thank you.
Good night.
Bye-bye.